The movie opens in a small village in China, where a young girl named Mulan showcases her impressive martial arts skills while chasing a chicken. As she dashes across rooftops in pursuit of the bird, it suddenly takes flight, leaving her scrambling to find a way back down as a tile slips beneath her feet. It causes her to lose her balance, but with the help of her abilities, she manages to land safely. Despite her talent, her skills raise concerns in the village, as society expects girls to bring honor to their families through marriage. That evening, as Mulan brushes her sister Hua Xu's hair, their mother, Hua Li, expresses her worries to their father, Hua Zhou. She points out that while Xu will have no trouble finding a match, Mulan's future is uncertain because her skills may label her as a witch. She urges Zhou to discuss Mulan's behavior with her. Later, Mulan is fixing a broken phoenix sculpture that she damaged during her chase when Zhou approaches her with a heavy heart. He gently advises her to conceal her martial skills, emphasizing that martial arts are for warriors, not for daughters. He reminds her that she must soon concentrate on bringing honor to their family through marriage. The scene shifts to many years later along the Silk Road in northwest China, where a trader meets a powerful witch named Xianyang, who has the ability to shapeshift. Using her magic, she swiftly transforms into the trader and enters the outpost. Nearby, the guards at a fort spot the Rurans, the northern invaders, approaching. Led by the fierce warrior Bori Khan, the Rurans quickly launch an attack on the fort. While Bori assaults the fort, Xianyang changes back to her original form inside the outpost and begins attacking the soldiers. After the chaos, Xianyang possesses the body of a soldier, making him the only survivor of the attack. He is then taken to the emperor. There, the chancellor reports to the emperor that 6 northern garrisons along the Silk Road have fallen in a coordinated strike, disrupting all trade. When the emperor asks about the source of the attacks, the soldier reveals that they are the Rurans. Although the emperor claims to have killed Bori Khan years ago, the chancellor informs him that Khan's son has united the tribes and resurrected the Ruran army. The soldier interrupts in between and adds that Khan is fighting alongside a woman with unimaginable power. The chancellor warns that using such power destructively is forbidden, but the soldier insists she leads the Ruran army to victory, having trained with an elite group known as the Shadow Warriors. In response, the emperor declares they are not afraid of dark magic and will destroy the Ruran army soon. He issues an order for every family in China to send one male member to protect the people and fight the invaders. After Xianyang leaves the soldier's body, she transforms into a hawk and flies to Khan's camp. There, she informs him about the emperor's plan to deploy an imperial army to defend the Silk Road. As he discusses his own strategies to counter this, he calls her a witch, which angers Xianyang. She warns him that she could destroy him instantly. However, Khan retorts that she won't, because he offers her what she seeks. A place where she will not be judged for her powers and will be accepted. He then reveals his desire for revenge against the emperor for his father's death, asserting that no one will stand in his way. Meanwhile, Mulan is outside in the field, enjoying her time. When she returns home, she excitedly shares her joy, but her happiness is soon interrupted by Li, who suggests that she visit the matchmaker. Zhou agrees with Li, insisting that it would be best for their family. Mulan, wanting to please her parents, prepares to see the matchmaker. Her mother dresses her in a gown and applies heavy makeup, which makes Mulan feel uncomfortable. However, determined to bring honor to her family, she goes along with it and heads to the matchmaker's house. There, Mulan serves tea while the matchmaker praises her as a good example of what a wife should be. However, things take a turn when a spider appears on the table. Xu, afraid of spiders, panics, and to protect her sister, Mulan decides to place the teapot over the spider. The matchmaker insists that the teapot should be centered on the table, and when Mulan tries to argue, the matchmaker ignores her. Mulan ends up moving the teapot away from the spider, which causes chaos. The cups and teapots fly into the air, and although Mulan tries to catch them, she accidentally breaks them. This leads the matchmaker to call her a disgrace, stating that the Hua family has failed to raise a good daughter. Just as they are returning from the matchmaker's house, imperial soldiers arrive in their village to enlist recruits from each family. With no other options, Zhou steps forward to become the new recruiter from his family. He mentions that he served in the army during the last battle against the northern invaders. However, as he approaches to take the letter, he stumbles and falls due to his injured leg. Despite this, he insists on joining the battle. At home, Mulan voices her concerns and asks her father how he can fight, but Zhou snaps at her, insisting it is his duty to bring honor to the family on the battlefield before storming out. Li tells her daughters they must be strong, as their father may not survive the battle due to his age and injury. After dinner, Mulan watches Zhou sharpen his knife and Mulan discusses how things would be different if she were a boy. Despite this, Zhou expresses no regrets about having a daughter and serving the emperor. Once Zhou goes to rest, Mulan secretly takes his horse, armor and sword to take his place. The next morning, Zhou realizes Mulan's absence and understands that exposing her would put her life in danger. He prays to his ancestors and the family guardian, the Phoenix, to protect her. Conversely, Mulan travels all night and seeks rest along the way. The next day, as she feels lost, the Phoenix appears to guide her to the training camp. There she introduces herself as Hua Jun and tries to fit in with the other recruits. To disguise herself as a man, she uses a chest binder. The next day, Sergeant Chang, the second in command of the Imperial Regiment, explains the basics of being a soldier. Commander Tung, the high-ranking leader of the Imperial Army, quickly begins training the new recruits. While Mulan makes some friends, she keeps them at a distance to protect her secret. She takes on night guard duty to avoid sleeping in a tent full of men and goes days without a bath. During a training session, she has a brief fight match with Hong Hui, showcasing her martial skills, which catches the attention of the commanders. Although the soldiers compliment her moves, they also tell her that she smells bad. That night, she goes to a pond to bathe. Hong Hui joins her and tries to befriend her, but she turns him down. The following day, Tung calls Mulan and encourages her to embrace her abilities. After that, she starts practicing her skills at night. The next morning in the training ground, Chiang teaches the new soldiers how to turn the enemy's numerical advantage into a disadvantage, explaining that even a mere 4 ounces can move 1,000 pounds with the right leverage. The Khan's army attacks the fort again, forcing Tung to cut training short and send his battalion to fight. Before the battle, Mulan tries to reveal her true identity to Tung, but without listening to her, he insists it is normal to fear before combat. He mentions how proud Zhou would be to see his son face such challenges, which prompts Mulan to leave without revealing her identity. When they arrive at the northern steppe garrison, they learn that Khan is advancing toward them. Tung then decides to take the initiative and lead an attack against Khan. The team gets ready for battle the next day. In an open field, Tung's battalion faces the Khan's army, but the Khan rides away from the main attack. Tung sends some riders, including Mulan after him. After her troop is killed, Mulan remains the last one standing but continues the chase. She soon encounters Xianyang, who mocks her for disguising as a man. When Xianyang attacks, Mulan's chest binding protects her, but she ultimately loses consciousness. Upon waking, Mulan decides to embrace her true self and returns to her battalion. She joins the fight, but the enemies retreat, fearing she is a witch. Xianyang then transforms into a swarm of bats to attack Mulan's troops. Meanwhile, the Khan's army takes advantage of the chaos and launches fireballs to destroy them. In response, Mulan uses helmets and arches to protect her men. She sneaks behind the Khan's position and sets up the helmets as a distraction, tricking them into launching fireballs at the snowy peaks. This results in an avalanche that buries the Rurans. After the battle, Mulan rides back to camp and rescues Hong Hui, who is trapped in the avalanche. Although her team sustains some injuries, they ultimately succeed in defeating Rurans. Unable to hide her true identity any longer, Mulan reveals herself and is expelled from the army. With nowhere to go, she cries until Xianyang approaches her. Seeing her younger self in Mulan, Xianyang invites her to join forces for power. Mulan declines, saying she will protect the imperial city until the end. In response, Xianyang explains that she serves the Khan only because he treats her better than others. She reveals that the attacks on the outposts are just a distraction. Khan's true plan is to capture and execute the emperor for his father's death. With this urgent information, Mulan rushes back to camp to warn her team about the danger to the emperor. Initially, the commander is reluctant to listen, but as her fellow soldiers stand up for her, Tung decides to trust her and allows her to take the lead. As Mulan rushes to protect the emperor, Xianyang uses her power to disguise herself as the chancellor and convinces the emperor to accept Bori Khan's challenge to single combat, while removing the city guards from their posts. When Mulan and her unit arrive at the imperial city, they find the streets empty of guards. As they enter, the Khan's army launches an attack, but Mulan's team successfully clears the way for her to reach the emperor. Once there, Mulan discovers Xianyang sitting on the emperor's throne, who seems pleased to see Mulan leading the army. Mulan urges Xianyang to choose a noble path and later guides her to the emperor, who is in danger of being burned by Bori. As Bori spots Mulan coming to the rescue, he releases a volley of arrows. In a moment of sympathy for Mulan and disillusionment with the Khan, Xianyang transforms into the hawk and sacrifices herself to intercept an arrow. She dies in Mulan's arms, insisting that she take her place. Mulan then confronts Bori in battle. During the fight, she loses her father's weapon to the flames, but she presses on, determined to fight without it. She adapts her fighting style and uses her agility to outmaneuver him. In a decisive moment, Mulan outsmarts Bori and defeats him. With her victory, she rushes to free the emperor, ensuring his safety and marking her bravery. After they arrive back in the imperial city, the emperor offers Mulan a position as an officer in his guard, which includes the most decorated warriors. However, Mulan declines, explaining that she needs to make amends with her family for leaving home and risking their honor. She insists on returning to her family. The emperor is impressed by her commitment and allows her to go home. As she leaves the emperor's palace, Honghui comes to say goodbye, promising that they will meet again. Mulan returns home to a warm welcome from her mother and sister. As they chat, she notices her father and rushes over to apologize for taking his horse, armor, and sword without his permission. She also expresses regret for losing the sword that had the words of virtues, loyal, brave and true engraved on it. Instead of being upset, Zhou tells Mulan he is sorry for not recognizing her true strength and the warrior within her. They share a heartfelt hug, reconnecting after their time apart. Just as Mulan is embracing her family, the Imperial Guards arrive with Commander Tung and Sergeant Chiang. Zhou, thinking they have come to punish his daughter, steps forward to protect her. However, Commander Tung reassures him that there is no need for that. He then presents Mulan with a sword that bears the words of 3 virtues: loyal, brave, and true, along with an additional inscription that reads devotion to family. He encourages her to reconsider the Emperor's offer to join his guard as an officer. The scene closes with Zhou's proud voice reflecting on Mulan's journey. He speaks of how she became a soldier, then a leader, and ultimately a legend, showcasing the strength and honor she brought to their family and country.